Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
And the audience were just in hysterics. And the producer, Peter Wilson, afterwards, I thought he was going to say, for God's sake, what are you doing? He said, Mark, it's one of the funniest things. Keep it in every night.
Happy belated birthday, darling.
Thank you, darling.
Did you have a nice time?
Yes, I absolutely did. And as a treat, I was taken out to see the amazing ABBA arena hologram extraordinaire. It was extraordinary. It literally was like time travel. I can suggest it. Yeah, I felt I was 30 years younger, but I'm only claiming 35, so there we go.
Yes, how does it feel to be 35, darling?
Oh, rejuvenating, actually. Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Fabulous. It's in holograms. Is it like holograms as we would imagine, or?
No, it's not. It's like they're real people. You can see light travel. If you see a sleeve, you can see light traveling through it. So it's not like a kind of, it's better than anything I've ever seen. And it's literally, you think you're seeing them 30 years ago or whatever. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And it's so impressive. And all the special effects and the audience are singing at the top of their voices, and yet all you hear is ABBA. So it's win-win. You can sing your heart out.
I wonder if they could do that with us, Harriet. I wonder if somebody could find a hologram of us 30 years ago, and we could send that to work.
That we'd be in kindergarten, darling, 30 years ago. It'd be no good at all.
I was going to say, in 30 years' time, maybe.
Exactly.
Now, I heard it rumoured that you have a herb garden.
And that is a euphemism. That's what we're concerned about.
Well, actually, I knew you'd say that, but it is actually, well, there are two things going on here. There's the real herb garden, and then there's the herb garden. But I'll tell you about the real one, can I?
Thank God.
So, I haven't had anyone to help me in the garden for a long time because
oh my God, here we go again. I know.
My little man left. Anyway,
Would
so
you
I started
stop?
digging. I started digging. Digging a deep hole for myself. Yes, like I can now.
Even worse. What are you talking about?
Anyway,
what herbs are you growing, darling? Let's just go there.
And I decided to actually have outside my front door a little herb garden. So I'm first of all,
Debbie, I'm sorry. Hang on, Debbie. Can you hear any of this without a euphemism? No, me neither. Outside my front door, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
And I bought some lavender. I know that's not a herb, but it smells really nice.
Even worse. Okay, can we
rosemary?
Can we please bring in a guest?
Basil.
Do that. No, stop talking about basil and rosemary. Please, can we bring in a guest?
I'm surprised that basil and rosemary all get into your herb garden.
Okay, even worse, Debbie. Come on. Who's our guest, please?
Our guest is the wonderful Mark Curry. Somebody needs to control us. Hello, darling. How are you, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
Welcome.
Hey, girls.
Yes, darling. How are you?
Really, really well. I'm over in Spain at the moment, and it's 35 degrees, and it's absolutely fabulous.
Can you see my face? Can you see my face?
Yeah, you're really happy for me. I know, marvellous.
Raging.
This will make you feel better. I'm coming back tomorrow.
Good.
Oh,
Into
good.
the rain. Thank you.
And then I'm going to Birmingham, where at the moment it is raining, because there's a big tennis tournament happening in Birmingham, which happens every year. It's a pre-Wimbledon women's grass court event, and it's the 40th anniversary.
Well, Mark, can I ask you something while you're here this second? Why do you go to Wimbledon?
I go to Wimbledon. Yes, I do go.
Could you be roving Wimbledon?
She's been drinking, darling. She's been drinking since.
Wimbledon reporter, not supporter. Oh my God, I think I'll go back to bed.
Darling, she drank too much over the Jubilee weekend. It's not stopped, and I can only apologise.
I can tell.
Wimbledon reporter.
I can certainly try what I can do, because I'm definitely there one day, maybe 2 days.
Oh, fabulous.
And, you've always got to be a bit careful when you're doing things roaming around, because there's security. Quite a few years ago, anybody could walk in with a microphone and do stuff. But now the security, everywhere is the same, but particularly at Wimbledon, they're really hyper. They've even created now where the players used to be able to walk from the car park when they were dropped off with their wonderful transportation. They could just walk across the road straight into the dressing rooms. Now they've got to go under the ground through a tunnel straight into the dressing rooms, because this is how it's become with security. They don't want the players being stopped or hassled or bothered or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I can certainly try. And what I can do is I can bring you, wherever I am, I can bring you some up-to-date stuff and great results and a little bit of gossip and fashion things and all that.
Yes,
because,
please.
We would love that. We would love that. Thank you so much. So,
are you genuine tennis fans, all of you?
Yes, and we know this is your passion, isn't it, Mark?
I'm a bit crazy about it, yeah. I am.
Great.
Do you know, and particularly women's tennis, because I came home from school when I was about 9 years old, and my mother was watching the women's final from Wimbledon. It used to be on a Friday in those days. And it was Billie Jean King playing an Australian player called Margaret Court. It was about 1970. I was about 9. And we got a colour telly. My mum had got a colour telly specially for Wimbledon that year. And I walked in from school, and this match went on and on and on. It's one of the longest women's Wimbledon finals ever, before tie breaks. And I wanted my tea, and I wanted my tea. And I kept saying to Mum, I'm starving. And she said, just after this game. But the game never ended. And I said, who's this? And she said, well, that's Billie Jean King. And Billie Jean King wore glasses, and I wore glasses. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. She can play tennis, and she wears glasses. And she was playing Margaret Court. Everybody wearing white, the green of Wimbledon, people in hats. It looked like a magical place to me. And I thought, where is this place? And we were up in Yorkshire, and that started it off. That later on, like a couple of days later, I said to my mum, please buy me a racket, get me a racket. And she won a racket at the bingo, honestly. And I'm truthful. And we got some balls, and I used to go outside, and I used to pretend to be Billie Jean King or Rod Laver or anybody who was winning.
So are you really great at tennis then, Mark? Are you really good at it?
No, I'm not really great. I'm a pretty good player. I'm a good club player. I'm very keen. I make a noise, girls. I make a bit of a noise.
Go on. What sort of noise do you make?
I sort of go, I can't do it, but I kind of go,
when you serve.
Oh, beyond serving, the longer the rally goes on, it gets louder and louder, as it does when you're enjoying yourself.
Well, it is when you hit the ball. You want to make a noise, don't you?
Exactly.
Can we move it on, please, dear, from the balls? Thank you.
New balls, please, Mark. Anyway, yes, now I'm going to tell you a piece of information that I think you might not know. That my first husband, John Challis, was a semi-finalist at Junior Wimbledon when he was a kid.
Was he?
Yeah.
He never told me that. I worked with lovely John.
He never told you. Did you ever play tennis with him?
No, maybe he was a bit scared that, I might challenge him and I might beat a former Wimbledon. I wouldn't have done. Did he?
Junior Wimbledon. And he gave it up because his school said he could either do, because he was very good at cricket as well, he could either play cricket or tennis, and he chose cricket.
He chose cricket. He never told me that. I mean, that's pretty good to get to semi-final at juniors.
Yeah, I think it was Mark Cox he played against.
Mark Cox, legend, absolute legend. That's amazing. He never told me that.
Well, there you are.
Well, listen, no way. I got to the equity finals in the mixed doubles 3 years running. It drove me crazy. Kept losing. So one year I entered what's called the plate, and the plate event is when, if you've lost in the first round of the main tournament, you get to enter the plate. And one year I won what they called the Walter Plinge plate.
Walter Plinge? Who's he?
I've got absolutely no idea. This is one of the treasured trophies in my house, the Walter Plinge plate.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Mark, but to me, you will always be Walter Plinge.
Thank you.
That's your new name.
Actually, we need to Google Walter Plinge. Who is Walter Plinge? I have no idea.
We have to.
But I love the game, and I love the women's game particularly. I love the women's game because if you think about it, it is the one sport where everybody, even if you're not into tennis, you always know a couple of the women players. They are true stars. Wimbledon is a fantastic theatre, a fantastic stage. And if you think over the years, there have been some amazing personalities and And I just love the way that the women had to fight for independence on the tour. You know, they weren't paid the same for a long time. The guys who ran tennis were trying to phase all the women out. And it was only Billie Jean King and a few very brave women back in like the early 70s who took on the governing bodies in tennis and said, if you don't start giving us the tournaments we want, and, you know, none of them thought they were better than the guys, but they were drawing the crowds, and they said, the ratio of pay between men and women is just not fair. We should be earning that money. And I mean, they really took a chance, and they're called the original nine. If all those people who sort of want to look at it, the original nine, and Billie Jean King was the leader. And look at them now; they're earning the same money as the guys, and they're as entertaining. I'm a big fan of women's tennis.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I don't know if you know, we've been nominated for an award.
I heard a little rumour. What's the award? Tell me what it is.
It is the best online channel.
But of course you have, because it's fabulous.
Where did you hear that rumour, Doug? Where did you hear that rumour?
Where did I hear that rumour? I remember sort of being in a queue quite recently at quite a posh garden event.
You've been the Chelsea Flower Show, perhaps?
I think it was the Chelsea Flower Show. And standing there in the queue waiting for accreditation was a certain Miss Thorpe, who I think had a sort of very self-satisfied smile on her face. And I said, you're looking very happy. She said, we've just been nominated an award, but she didn't go into detail. So
Oh,
I think I had a megaphone, though, when I said that, so everyone could hear the Wonderbirds. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
so we are the most original. We are original. Excuse me, aren't we, Dan?
Okay.
Very original, and we're still together after all these years. We were thinking of getting divorced, but we've decided to stay together for the children.
Yeah. We've had counselling. Yeah.
You know, nobody realises how tricky it is to do a show where you're all presenting it together. It's bad enough in studio, but actually when you're doing this and you all have to sort of chat away, you've got to really be on the same wavelength, and you all are, and that's why it works. It's just a joy. It's a joy to do, and it's a joy to watch.
Do you know what, darling? We have the luxury of a mute button, and sometimes I have that power and can mute everybody. So, you know, that's how it works.
Yes.
Listen, Harry, when I start talking tennis, you'll want to put the mute button on, because lots of people go, Mark, okay, fine, you're fascinated, but we're not that. We don't want to know the scores. I mean, I know scores. I know sort of who lost and who won during the 60s and 70s, all the Wimbledon finals. That's how much of an anorak I am.
Which was the tennis match, hang on, which was Bjorn Borg and John McEnroe that went on for ages. It was the first tennis match I really, really watched, and it never ended either. 81, was it, or 80?
I think it was about 80, and it was that amazing tie break that went on forever.
Yeah.
John McEnroe actually won. He won the tiebreak, but then lost the final set. Yeah, absolute classic. And people talk about that. Sometimes what's slightly aggravating is they talk about that era, like, or certain age groups talk about that era, like that was the era. But we have to remember that how blessed have we been to live in this generation of Nadal and fantastic Roger Federer and the Williams sisters. I mean, can be created to be champions. And look at them. Look at what they've done. You know, it's just fantastic. And because we see them all the time, not so much now, but we saw them winning. When players are winning all the time, you tend to take it for granted. But in years to come, we'll look back and we'll say, we watched the Williams sisters play each other and play on the world stage. I think it's fantastic, you know.
My little grandson plays. He's been playing. He's now 4, and he's been playing since he was 2. And he's really good because his dad is a really good tennis player, and he's really good. Fantastic eye already for the ball, and loves tennis. I mean, really loves it. And it's so weird because it's like it starts at a very early age, doesn't it? When you're interested,
it does. And at that stage, that's when you've really got to make sure you get some good coaching. It's difficult at first, you know, because it sometimes takes money unless you're spotted and you're sponsored and you're taken somewhere to an academy. It costs money. You know, it's only parents really who've got a lot of money who can take their kids along for good coaching and the equipment and all that. But really, we have some great coaches in this country. And if you take a kid along to a tennis camp or something, they know what they're looking for.
They do.
You know, I mean, I always think about Yvonne Goolagong. Remember Yvonne Goolagong years ago? And there she was in the outback, you know, playing on an old court, and nobody in her family played tennis, but somebody spotted her and said to a top guy in Australia, come to this place, this bush town called Barellan in Australia and see this girl running around. And look what happened, you know, double
Amazing.
Wimbledon
It's
champion.
amazing. What surprised me though, I went to one of the coaching things that he had when he was just starting, and they threw the balls at the kids so he wouldn't be frightened of being hit by a ball. So one of the first things and I just thought, why are they throwing balls at him?
Yeah.
But it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's a tough game. It's a really tough game. And if you see players doubles, somebody standing at the net and you can serve to that person and then they can hit it straight at you, you've got to have such fantastic reactions. And it's just very difficult. I mean, it's a shame in this country that apart from Emma Raducanu, who it was fantastic what she achieved last year, really amazing to win 10 matches. Remember, she was a qualifier and she didn't lose a set in 10 matches to go right the way through and win the US Open. And it's very tough on her because everybody's expecting her now to win everything. And this is her first year on the proper circuit, you know? Yeah. It's very tough for her to adjust to everything. We've got Emma, and then you have to go right down to sort of number 103 in the world to find the second British player. Who is that's how much depth there is in world tennis. On the men's side, it's a bit better. We've got Cameron Norrie, who's number 11, then Dan Evans. So it's a bit better, but we need more players. And any girls, any mothers watching this or fathers watching this or girls watching this, get the girls out there playing because it's a fantastic sport. The money you can earn is phenomenal. And the joy of it, you know, it is tough. And you have to learn to be able to lose and cope with that. But once you start doing well, you'll be looked after. You know, these players have a great life. They're flown everywhere. They're given equipment. Once you get above a certain level.
Well, we haven't, Mark. So I think now, because we haven't played tennis, well, I haven't, and I don't know if the others have, could we not start a geriatric sort of a tournament that we could actually enter? And
Debbie, darling, that's such a lovely idea, but I'm
table
not
tennis.
Afraid.
Those are the only tournaments I play in. But I'm the youngest person. At 60 years old, I just about get in. So, you know, I'm up for that, absolutely. And the ball bounces twice. Very nice. We like those.
Oh, God. Mark, you must be, I know that you do after dinner speaking, don't you? And I bet some of your stories are hilarious. And I know you talk about tennis, but one I heard through the grapevine was when you accidentally did something on stage in one of the, was it Charlie's Aunt? And then it was kept in?
I accidentally. Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. When I sat on the fender of the, I was playing the part, Lord Fancourt Babberley, and I wore a crinoline. When he has to change into being the aunt, they said, we want you to wear a crinoline. I said, great. You know, crinolines kind of move on their own. I don't know if you ever worn a crinoline, but they move on their own. And the first thing that happened was I ran on stage. It was a quick change off stage, ran on, and I thought, this crinoline is so bloody heavy. Why is it so heavy? It's not me. And I'd managed to unhook a tiny fire extinguisher from the wall, and it was hanging on the side of the hoop of the crinoline like this. It was weighing me down. That was the first thing. And then about a week later, we were at Bradford Alhambra, and a little scene, I had to sort of sit coquettishly on the fender of this set on the fireplace and sort of do all this with the fan and rocking away on this crinoline, which had a life of its own. And suddenly it just went backwards. It took me. I fell into the fireplace. I've got my shoes in the air. My wig came down to here. It took about 5 actors. There was Frank Windsor, God bless him, Patrick Cargill, no longer with us anymore, and dragging us out. And the audience were just in hysterics. And the producer, Peter Wilson, afterwards, you know, I thought he was going to say, for God's sake, what are you doing? He said, Mark, it's one of the funniest things. Keep it in every night. We did it.
Brilliant.
So brilliant.
Amazing.
Great play.
Amazing.
Wonderful play.
Darling, can I ask about Spain? Do you to and fro from Spain?
Yes. I don't live there, but we've got a house, lucky enough to have a house out here. We love it. It's, you know, as you know, 2.5 hours away from the UK. It's just a great place to come and not think about work, not think about the business. It's just really, really nice to have that. I love the Spanish life, the food, the weather, of course.
Whereabouts are you? Not
sensational.
that I come and visit you. Whereabouts are you in Spain?
So we're down near Malaga. So you fly to Malaga and we're about 20 minutes from Malaga, down the coast.
Near Marbella or the other way?
Going down towards Marbella. It's a little village up in the mountains called Mijas.
I know.
Oh,
Mijas
lovely.
Yeah, we love it. We absolutely love it. It's just great. Yeah,
It's where they have the Ladro, isn't it?
It's where they have the Ladro store. It is.
It is. Yep. Lots of Ladro, and it's on the mountains, and you look over, and it's gorgeous. I love a bit of Mijas, me.
It's bueno. Muy bueno. Muy bueno. No, it's really lovely.
Spanish, darling.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. We really try. We've kind of plateaued, as you do, you know. But here in Mijas, they speak Spanish. You know, not many people speak English here, so we've really had to try. And I think you should. I think if you've chosen to spend your life in the place, you really should try, and they appreciate it. But the great thing about the Spanish is they love to talk. They just love to make conversation. And once you just say a couple of things, they assume that you're fluent, and they just you go, no. Demasiado. So you try and tell them, but they're lovely people. The Andalusians particularly are warm, friendly, funny, really funny. They love a joke. They love to have a giggle. Got tremendous pride.
What's your favourite local dish?
Well, I love paella. I really do love a really good paella. You know, where the rice gets burnt on the bottom of the pan, which is how it should be. That's fabulous. Gambas pil, which are the sort of sizzling prawns in garlic. And they do, like, we've just been out this morning, actually, and we just had a couple of eggs, but they always put garlic on the eggs, so you get the bits of cooked garlic on top of the eggs with some tomato. And then a bit of garlic on the tomatoes and some olive oil on the little, pitufos, is the tiny little rolls.
I'm trying to remember the name of the beautiful restaurant going from Mijas to Marbella, and it's big gardens. It reminds me of a sort of like an old 1950s film in there. It's very famous.
Is it the Italian one?
Yeah.
It's an Italian one. I can't think what it's called. With lots of statues.
Villa something.
Yeah.
Villa Tiboris, is it Villa something? Villa Tiboria.
Villa Tiberia.
Villa Tiberia.
That's the one with all these. It's way over the top. All the statues and everything else. Yes, wonderful. But it's very expensive down towards Marbella. It gets more and more expensive.
I bet.
We like finding all the little places in the country. You know, sort of driving up the mountains to the villages and finding places like that, because somehow it's just more authentic, and you're eating with the Spanish people, and that's what I like doing. You know, I like getting away from everybody else and just
exactly. Oh, that's fabulous. That's fabulous.
But there's everything here that you want. You know, if you want a bit of Marbella, if you want a bit of Puerto Banús, and who doesn't occasionally want a bit of Puerto Banús, you go down there and it's all happening. Then you've got Malaga with the theatres and the art, and there's great culture here that people don't realise, the Spanish culture. And they love their music, and they're just great people, and they're very loyal. The only time they get upset is if you stop going to a restaurant where you've been before, and they see you, they get a bit upset with you because you haven't been there. Or it's this loyalty thing that they have.
Yeah.
And they love
loyalty is everything.
Well, it is. I mean, it is. I think that as well. So, it's just great.
Well, we are loyal to you, Mark. So listen, you'll be back in the next couple of weeks with your roving reporting.
Yeah, so I thought what we do is, I mean, it's up to you girls, but next week, so on Thursday, this tournament in Birmingham starts. I'm going to be the master of ceremonies there. I'm taking the players onto the court and interviewing them and all that. So it might be that we can do a little bit from there. I can show you around the grounds there, because it's a beautiful club. The Priory in Edgbaston is a beautiful club. Wow. And some of the top players will be there. And then Eastbourne is the week after. That's the big tournament after that. And then they go to Wimbledon. So we can have sort of quite a few nice little reports from the grass court season, ending, of course, with the big one in Wimbledon. So
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, darling, for doing that. And we'll see you next week.
Can't wait.
See you soon.
Can't wait.
Thank you,
see darling.
You
next cue, darling.
I love him.
He's so our tennis sorted for the rest of the season.
Yes, absolutely, for the rest of our life, actually, because we know now he's going to be our mentor in tennis.
Yes, new balls, please.
New balls.
We started
the
show. Dear God, I think we have to leave. Who have we got coming on next week?
David Grant, who's the fantastic, amazing voice coach.
Yes,
and singer, absolutely. And he's legendary, isn't he? And the amazing Horse McDonald, who is like, She in Scotland, she's the biggest star in Scotland and should be here. She's got a fantastic voice and she is so funny. So can't wait. Can't wait.
I can't wait. At least she's not going to be talking about her herb garden.
Well, I was going to say, we have to have a rule now. No more herb garden discussions.
No, I'll tell everyone who comes on.
Yes. Yes. Just keep lavender there. It'll keep it nice and fresh. And
oh, yes.
Jesus. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Can we put up, please?
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Right.
Goodbye.
Bye. Have a great weekend, girls.
I'd like to apologise to everyone on behalf of the Wonderbirds. Thank you.
Bye.